Now, as Washington will roll out the red carpet for our Prime Minister, joining us to better understand the geopolitical significance of our Prime Minister's first US state visit on the broadcast, Ambassador Prabhu Dayal, former diplomat. Thank you so much, sir, for making time for us this afternoon. Now, earlier today we were discussing that whether it's hosting the G20, whether it's being invited for a state visit by the US President, or even maintaining cordial relations with Putin, India is now increasingly being perceived both big as well as vital for geopolitics. Ambassador, many political analysts worldwide believe that the reason for this state visit can be distilled to one word: China. Your thoughts?
Well, I agree with you that China is a big factor which lurks behind the thinking of many of the powers, particularly the Western countries. But also important is the fact that India's own importance is growing. India's heft is increasing. And this makes India a very attractive proposition for countries like the United States to engage with and build a stronger relationship. And perhaps that explains the warm welcome and the state visit that Prime Minister Modi is being accorded. Now, I would like to underline the fact that this visit is not only very rich in form, but it is also going to be rich in substance. Substance is extremely important when it comes to underlining the various parameters which make a bilateral relationship. Now, you rightly pointed out that this is a state visit, there will be a state dinner, Prime Minister will address the joint session of the two houses of Congress. But what is equally important is that he is focusing on bringing critical and emerging technologies into India through initiatives like the India-USA initiative on critical and emerging technologies. So India is taking the relationship forward, which is going to be beneficial to both sides. Now, I would like to mention that the defense industrial production roadmap, which you highlighted during your introductory remarks, is going to be a very key agenda item. And certainly the China factor is important in understanding why the two countries are defining a new relationship in this regard. Both the United States and India have concerns about Chinese territorial and economic expansionism. We face Chinese expansion across the line of actual control.
Right.
But Chinese expansionism in the entire Indian Ocean region is becoming a matter of global concern.
Indeed.
In particular, such expansionism is coming in the way of the supply lines and is thus impeding trade, economic activity in all regions of the world. So the United States has great concerns, and it thinks that by cooperating with India, it would be able to check Chinese territorial and economic expansionism and at the same time create new supply lines. You spoke about the semiconductor issue in your introductory remarks. Now, Micron is engaging with India because it wants to establish new supply lines in the area of semiconductor technology, manufacturing, packaging, marketing, because semiconductors are extremely important and they impact all areas of economic and scientific activity.
Absolutely, Ambassador. There is no doubt that India's heft is increasing. It's quite evident through all that you've pointed out and the optics in the run-up to the Prime Minister's Washington visit. But just talking about one key agenda item that you just touched upon, you know, China is now the world leader in drone development after the United States. But with India's acquisition of these state-of-the-art MQ-9Bs, This tech imbalance which presently exists is expected to be corrected to an extent. Considering the US has not shared the MQ-9Bs with many countries yet, is this a clear edge for India?
Well, I think the United States realizes that India needs to be strengthened. Because if India is to be able to contain China, then certainly Indian defense capabilities need to be enhanced. And it is in that context that the acquisition of the MQ-9 Predator drones, which are going to cost us $3 billion, well, this deal has to be seen in that context. India wanting to increase its defense capabilities and the United States being equally keen to ensure that we are able to do so. It is in the same context that I would view the fact that 300 engines of the General Electric would be supplied to India's light combat aircraft. Because again, we need to enhance our capability to fight Chinese aggression. Of course, there is a roadmap which lies ahead, and it is in this context that I emphasize that a Prime Minister's initiative on critical and emerging technologies, which was signed earlier this year, is sending a message to global investors because it emphasizes the fact that India is a cost-effective and productive investment destination. So the gains from this visit would be indeed very far-reaching.
Absolutely. Ambassador, another key aspect I want to touch upon that a lot of critics have been pointing out, Prime Minister Modi's state visit, many critics believe could pose a challenge, a strategic challenge to Joe Biden. As a candidate, the US president made defending human rights and democracy sort of a cornerstone of his foreign policy agenda. Now critics argue that his embrace of our Prime Minister is doing just the opposite.
Well, support for a stronger relationship with India is bipartisan in the United States. President Trump pursued a policy of pursuing closer relations with India when he was president. And President Biden has been continuing that policy. So let the critics say what they want. But the fact of the matter is that the United States recognizes across the board that it is in their interest to strengthen the relationship with India. And I think that no matter who is occupying the White House, this relationship will continue to move forward.